Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand this is a safe place to land. Please understand you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I see several people starting to come in. That always makes me happy. One thing I'm going to do before we do anything else, it's the most important thing today. And I just want to say happy birthday to Mayor, my dear friend and one of my amazing mods. You are absolutely a huge part of this community. And I don't know what any of us would do without you. You bring comedy to us, you bring the love, and you just feel like you give us a hug when we need those, and I hope that you're having just a great day, and I hope that you have a great year, and, so happy 50th birthday, sweetheart. So, anyway, it's good to see you. She might be a little over 50, y'all, but not much. So, anyway, I'm gonna check in with the chat real quick, and then we're gonna get started because this is an interesting one, so yeah, thanks, Jersey Jan. Always reminding them to tap that like button on your way in, yeah, on your way in, and just sub. Absolutely. If you are subbed, you might just check and make sure that you are still subbed because it just keeps saying, a bunch of the creators we talk and everything, and everybody's like, I'm having people say that I've been unsubbed, that they've been unsubbed from my channel. So I've had a couple people say it to me in the last couple of weeks. So just check. I always check mine just to make sure I'm still subbed to people I want to see. If you're not and you want to be, hit the sub button. If not and you don't want to be, that's fine too. You can just watch. But it doesn't cost anything to sub, and it really does help the channel with the algorithm and just getting us out to more people. So, anyway, that's all. So, Mayor, again, happy birthday. So glad to see you here. Always so glad to see you. And I'm glad that you got that coffee in bed this morning. That was nice. He better. He better do that. So, Darcy's good to see you. Saying happy birthday to Mayor also. Yep. And let's see here. Trying to not double up. Indigo, very good to see you too. Mischief. Yeah, I played the song especially for her birthday. Yeah. Conda, so good to see you. Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you've been in the live for a while, but glad you're here today. You'll have to try to make it back some more. We've got a lot of people that are having to catch us on the replays just because it's summer and they, busy and everything. I'm not even getting to watch as many uh lives of different people as I normally do, just for the fact that I'm constant quiet, peaceful dance. So good to see you too. Always loved seeing you here. Brian Lucas, good to see you here. Looks like that's the end of the ones that are here right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started and see where this goes a little bit, y'all. I've been rubbing my eyes because I don't know why they were watering again. So I've probably got the makeup off. It looks like I don't have any mascara on this side, and I still have it on this side. It's like every show y'all get to come in and see what kind of hot mess is Susie's makeup today. So yeah, today it's that this eye was watering and I wiped it a lot. So anyway, we are going to talk a little bit today about a cult. Of course, they don't think they're a cult or they don't admit to being a cult, but it is called a soulful journey. I call it a soulful journey cult. They call it a wellness center, so we'll see. So, but anyway, welcome to that today. We are going to talk about it. Y'all, I've really sat with this one for a while and it's kind of, excuse me, I kind of feel bad about it because, you know, I don't know, it's like other cults. It's very bothersome. There's things about it that feel really bothersome, and I kept kind of thinking that it feels slippery, for lack of a better word. It feels slippery, and I don't know, y'all. My friend Jersey Jan, she's a friend and mod, she brought this to me several weeks ago, and I went immediately and was looking into it, and I've looked into it ever since then, several times, and taken a lot of notes and did some screenshots that I didn't want to forget things, and just really went back and forth to it several times. And I don't know, I just kept waiting and watching, thinking that I would find more, you know? Like, I don't know, more facts, more victim statements, more records, more I don't know, just more. And I just didn't. I just could not find a whole lot. I mean, I found enough, but not really a lot. And then it just kind of started hitting me that really the story here is the scarcity of facts and victim statements and stuff. And there are some, I'm not saying there's not, there are some, but the scarcity of it means that this is still so new. It hasn't, been going that long. And it is really just so new that a lot of people are still in it. A lot of people haven't left. The ones that have left are scared still. A lot of them are trying to pick up their lives. The last thing they've really got time for is to sit and tell their story. They're slowly doing that. But to me, that really tells the story is that it is just still so new. And that being so new means that they still are being victimized. They're still in there. One girl said that when she started as a well, she was 10 when she started, but whenever a little later, by the time she was 15, 16, that she knew that there were probably, I don't know, 12, 13 kids in it of different ages. And she said that even now, there are probably 7, and they're not children anymore. They're now adults, but they have potentially had children of their own and or will, and then raise them in the same cult. And so that, it really bothered me. I thought, wow, I'm sitting here waiting for more. And really, the whole story is that this is, although it's little, it's a small cult. There's only maybe 30 members, but it's kind of huge at the same time because those 30 members are so completely indoctrinated. I don't know. It just, when I really started thinking about it, I really started seeing that, the bigness of it is in the smallness, if that makes any kind of crazy sense. So, y'all, I do like to give credit where credit is due, and I forgot to put that in. Mischief might have that link to Kelly's video. Kelly Copter did an amazing video where she talked to a girl that has now left this cult. her name, um, in the cult was, Feywa. She now goes by just Faye because she said she has lived as much life as Feywa as she did her previous name of Gretchen. And so she said that, you know, when she was in the cult, they teach them that their previous life, their previous, identity is an evil thing. And so it took her a while after she got out for her birth name to just not be associated with evil and bad. And so yeah, she did shorten from Feywa to Faye. But anyway, but Kelly did a phenomenal, which I would expect no less. She did an absolutely phenomenal job of talking to her, and y'all should go watch that. You really should. And I was so shocked when I saw that Kelly did it because here I had been studying it and studying it and studying it, and then boom, she did a completely amazing video. So I felt like, damn, But anyway, Kelly, I know I'm not gonna talk about Kelly all night, but she just has such an amazing story to begin with that, her story is one of them. Hers and, Jenna, Miscavige are the 2 stories that I look back on all the time if I start, like, feeling sick of thinking about Scientology, just sometimes you just get kind of overwhelmed with cults. And so whenever I think about that with any cult, but especially with Scientology, I think about Kelly and Jenna, and their stories just ignite a fire in me that makes me know that I will fight Scientology until they are gone or I'm gone, and if by some miracle we get rid of them before I'm gone, then I'll just move on to another one and fight them. So, yeah. I am gonna today kind of walk through. I keep glancing at my notes because I don't know, I'm just kind of overwhelmed feeling today. Hey, eat more pizza. Good to see you too. Uh, I do want to go through what's been reported and what a few ex-members have said. They're so brave. I mean, to share what they are so far. Sorry, I'm clicking buttons on accident. Um, so that's where we're at today. Let's just, buckle up and get started, y'all. So basically, I'm going to start with who are they really? Who is the leader of this cult? Because, there's always a leader. And it seems like that it always starts with, thank you, Mischief. I see that you got that video in there. Thank you very much. A charismatic leader. And we've got that with this, or at least they say she's very charismatic. I didn't get that feeling myself, but I think I'm just jaded. I think that I just like if I feel somebody trying to be charismatic or, I already know that they're a cult leader, then I'm just like not feeling it. So I'm not a good one to choose, to say if this person is charismatic or not. Because to me, they're just all assholes and I don't like any of them. But, yeah, Soulful Journey, it might sound like kind of a healing crystal Etsy shop kind of a thing, but it's not. It's a cult. And they call themselves a spiritual group, okay? They don't call themselves a church or a cult, obviously. They call themselves a spiritual group, and it is led by Solaire Alere? But with her former name, formerly known as Lynn Young, and they are operating out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. And she's the leader. This Solaire is the leader, and then her domestic partner, Lara Lara Alleray, which was formerly known as Terry Hendrickson, is kind of like the enforcer. Okay, so it's like she's like Osa all by herself, okay? They got a one woman Osa kinda deal, but I mean, just pretty much just as, you know I couldn't figure out why, and I honestly am still kinda looking into it, and I'm thinking that maybe it's just gonna come later as more people leave, but I am still kind of looking into why they are way more secretive about this Lyra, about who she was, um, her name was, before she got to be Lyra. So they're really secretive about her being this Terry Hendrickson. But there was 2 different people that were ex-members that named her, and so I'm gonna take their word for it, but I can't find anything on her really, like, not anything important, and it's like they just disappear, right? But I will be digging into that. So, on the surface, y'all, the pair run this wellness center, but if you dig deeper, you're gonna find a myriad of LLCs, a 501(c)(3), and and a food truck of all things. Yeah, and it's not just any food truck. It is like one of the most popular food trucks in the entire state, and it's called the Bad Rooster. And apparently the food's great, the service is great, everything's great, except for it is ran by cult members for free, obviously. Now this Solaire person, she says that they call her the chief mother clucker. So, I don't know. Nobody that I saw in any interviews were saying that they called her that. They said that she calls herself that. And I just think that she's just, like, made it up. I mean, I've heard the term before, obviously. First of all, I have chickens. So, that's something that we hear a lot. But I think that she's just done it to try to be more cutesy and more, like, accepted because she is good at that. Like, she really is good at acting very normal in front of the customers, very endearing, I mean, kind of flirty, even with the men and the women, just, everything. She's just like, I don't know, just I think she's done it to be like to try to be cutesy. So anyway, in Solaire's bio, basically, it says that she raised 6 sons with her now ex-husband. But there's nothing that I was able to find that references whether the ex-husband or the 6 grown sons are still involved in this at all. It says that the food truck that she co-owns the food truck, but it doesn't say who the other person is. So, it's just really strange. Like, I mean, she's got these kids. I mean, they're grown, but I can't find any information about them. The ex-husband, you can't find any information. And ex-members say that he's very seldom ever even mentioned, that they don't really ever talk about him. So, anyway, so you might be thinking, what on earth does a food truck have to do with a cult? Well, everything basically, because ex-members and families of current members say that profits from the truck go to support this cult. And that's the funny thing about it is that when you say to support this cult, really what it's supporting is Solaire and Lyra and the maybe 3 or 4 members that they have living with them in their home. The rest of the members live independently and just do group things with them or go on these group trips that they go on and that kind of thing, or work at the food truck. Like if you're a married couple, maybe one of you has a job so you can afford to do all these group things, but then the other one might work at the food truck for free. And it's all done in the name of spirituality. So anyway, yeah. So it's just weird. I don't know. The food truck is clearly how they are keeping control of some of them, especially like the teenagers or the ones that are in their early 20s and stuff, but also of the elderly. So it's just really strange. But anyway, One former member said that her dad actually sold a $1.5 million farm that they had, and and he funneled the money into this cult. But he barely had enough money to even, like, feed his own kids and stuff after that, like, they barely scraped by because everything that he got or had went to this cult, and that's pretty scary, it's just, ugh, it just it pisses me off, to be perfectly honest, and the Bad Rooster, the food truck, is said to make somewhere in the vicinity, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but somewhere around $9,000 a day. Can you imagine? $9,000 a day. And yet several of these people, you know, mostly who want to remain anonymous, they've gotten out, but they're staying anonymous, but they report going unpaid, isolated, and always, always, always you give the group comes first, and basically Solaire and Lyra come first. So, anyway, so the spiritual is it spiritual teachings or just spiritual control? I think it's both. And Solaire claims to channel multiple people all the way from adult males to toddlers, you know, and but her most acclaimed channeling is that she says that she's in contact with a being that's named G, just the letter G. Now, he is described as a godlike energy. I'm like, that's not really, I don't know. She's not very like imaginative. She's just naming him G and he's like God. But anyway, so she charges a fee starting at $150 a week. That's for each person for group spiritual guidance. Okay. So she says that she can channel G. And so then she is guiding you. So she gathers these people together. There are supposedly um, around 30 or 40 members. So she gathers as many of those that, come in every week, charges them $150 each. And she like gives them spiritual guidance that she has supposedly gotten from G. And she also, the fees go up, y'all, if she does like a private channeling for you or where she channels G with you there. So like if she had me and Indigo, you know, like if I'm her and I have Indigo in there, then it's going to be more than $150 because I'm going to channel G while she's sitting there watching. So that's just also kind of creepy. But anyway, I looked into some of that and they said that none of that is really all that unusual for all this kind of new age thing that goes on, but there are some areas where it starts to go wonky. We're going to look at those now. Uh, for one thing, former members say that you belong to the 99. It's a parallel dimension, and okay, so it's like a parallel dimension where your spirit self lives a whole other life. Okay. So I know it sounds wonky. I don't really get it. But, and then there's things like one woman was told that her children weren't spiritually hers, that they didn't spiritually belong to her. And so that she needed to just basically stay away from them. She had to kind of abandon them. And anyway, another said that she was uh, renamed. There's a renaming deal that we're gonna go into in just a second. The members, they give up their old identities, not all of them, but a lot of them, um, for the fee of $50 on top of the actual channeling fee to get G to tell you what your name needs to be. But anyway, when she does that, she, you have to give up your former identity. So, like, I mean, it's just immediate, like, as soon as you get this new name, you didn't cease to exist. Everything that came before that new naming was bad and evil, and you're just supposed to give it up. Unless, of course, you're like, your husband or wife or whatever, and your children and everything, if they come into the whole group too. But if not, sounds a little Scientology to me, only weird because you have to, like, literally give up your whole identity, your name, everything about yourself. You give all that up. So that's just weird. So the name change thing. So they say that there's about 15 members who have legally changed their names, but there's a lot that haven't. The majority of them, they've all probably changed their name. I Nobody seemed to know of any that had not changed their name and given up their whole past identity. But some just haven't spent the extra $50 to do it legally. So, or no, the $50 is to change your name. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I knew I was reading it wrong, but I did. Um, the $50 is just for basically for Solaire to get G to give you a name, and then whatever the state or whatever charges to have your name legally changed. So most of them don't do that. They just change it within the group and give up all of their, you know, past identity. And so, yeah, this Lyra apparently gets on to anybody that complains about the $50 surcharge, basically, to get their name changed because she says, well, Solaire has to channel G, and that takes about 20 minutes or maybe even more. And, it takes a lot out of her emotionally and physically. And shouldn't she be compensated for that time? And so they're all like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but yet they can work for hours and hours, 6, 7 days a week, and they don't need compensated for their time, but Lord, God forbid she's gonna channel G for 20 minutes and get a name, and that, she needs compensated on top of everything else. I mean, there is just no give and take to it. It's all just one way. I couldn't find anything where I thought that they were getting anything out of anything. I cannot figure out what makes them stay. I don't know. So, anyway, their living arrangements and the isolation that goes along with it. This is not a big compound. They live in a fairly large house, but the vast majority of them do not live there. They meet there, but they don't live there. Um, there's usually a couple of teenage girls that live there, and possibly there's an elderly lady that we think might live there from everything that I've read, but we don't have any proof. I can't find proof that she lives there. I do have some slides that I'll show you where her daughters, there's 3 of them. They've actually went on TV, on news channels and everything trying to find their mom. They thought she had died at one point, but apparently she didn't, or maybe she did. They don't know. And how awful is that? So, I mean, they haven't spoke to her in 15 years. Well, more than that now. So, yeah, they say that the membership seems to fluctuate between 30 and 50 members, but it's every bit as isolating as any of the other cults that we study. She absolutely controls everything in their lives, even the ones that don't live there. She is still, spiritually controlling all of their lives and telling them exactly what to do and what they can't do, and it is just It's strange. So, anyway, so this girl, she was a teenager. She's the one that, Kelly interviewed. Her name is now it was Feywa, but she just has shortened it down to Faye. Her given name was Gretchen West, and, she was removed from her family home and just was kind of made to believe that she was just this really horrible kid that nobody could control or anything. And the thing was really she was just in a lot of pain. She had really severe scoliosis and just a lot going on physically. And she was depressed over it because, she couldn't really do anything or anything. And so um she came to live with Solaire and this her friend, her domestic partner. Why can't I think of that name? Lyra, and they kinda, like, treated her like, this is your last shot. If you don't make it here, you're gonna be out on the street, nobody wants you, your parents don't want you, nobody wants you, and her and another teenage girl actually slept in what they say is a closet in the basement of Solaire's, home. No windows. There was actually they removed the regular door and put a glass door so that they could see in it all the time. She said eventually they did let them put some kind of a curtain over it when they complained enough, I guess, but that they had 3 drawers to keep everything that they owned in, and just not a good place to leave or to live. Um, she also talked about, and so did some of the others, about food deprivation, sleep deprivation, having to, like, work constantly at that food truck, and when they were in school, which they eventually leave school fairly early, as soon as it's, like, legal for them to quit, they do, and, but when they're in school, they don't send a school lunch with them, and they don't give them money to be able to buy lunches, and I'm like, "It's good lord," and they said that basically all the food that's in the house, you're just supposed to kind of assume that it belongs to Solaire and Lyra. Now, they can eat at the food truck, but only like leftovers, like stuff that, I mean, literally leftovers, you know what that is, or like um, things that they're told they can eat. Just, you know, like if it's going to go bad or whatever. But that's the whole kind of thing there. So they're not treated well at all. And what happens when they try to leave? Same thing we hear time and time again. There's shunning and guilt tripping and emotional blackmail. Plus, in this instance, these people, they've given up their entire identity and they have lived years believing that whoever they were before was evil and bad. And, so they have they don't even know where to go. I mean, they don't know where any of their family or friends are. They don't connect with who they used to be. I don't know. I think it's almost worse than some of the other cults that we've studied because they really, truly, totally lose their identity. Imagine if you joined at 40 and you give up every single thing that you knew about yourself for 40 years. And, 10 years later, you try to leave or something and, you don't, I don't know, it's just awfully bad. Um, One woman said that she would rather die than stay, but that if she leaves, she'll lose everything that she's got. I mean, talk about between a rock and a hard place. I'd rather die than stay, but if I leave, I lose everything. It seems like it's almost like die or die. There's just nothing good. But so anyway, they do have retreats and travel and the money flows, let me tell you, the money flows. Um so as far as the finances go, it is not cheap to be a part of Soulful Journey. In addition to local classes and everything that you've got to pay for, Soulful Journey offers international retreats to places like Peru and the Bahamas and all over the place. But anyway, they range from like 5,000 to 7,000, sometimes even 9,000 each. So can you imagine if that was a family of 4 who's already giving everything that they've got to this woman? Now the ones that, live with her and don't have any income, they have to work it off, of course. Anyway anyway, the thing is that while they're on these what they call goodwill missions, these ex-members say that a lot of the times they sleep in tents or in really, like, really ratty ass hotels, that they travel hours a day. I couldn't really figure out where they were going, but they travel hours a day. It's almost like they just driving around, honestly. And it's in, like, radio buses. I mean, I we've seen the type, on TV or movies or something where the bus just looks like it's gonna break down at any minute. And then it's usually, like, the kids that are in there. Some of the adults are not there. Solaire and Lyra are not there. And while they're traveling around for hours and, it's hot and dusty and all that, and there's not air conditioning, and it's just pretty miserable. But they're also studying and not like, you know, math and reading and all that. No, they're studying about this spirituality thing that Solaire is feeding them. They're it's that kind of a thing, kind of a like they're on course, they have to learn all this stuff. So anyway, so Faye said that the only thing that she can really remember doing that helped anybody when they were on these trips, and she's went on many, was that she remembers one time that they painted the house of some man when they were in New Orleans. But she said that honestly, the rest of the time, it's the exact same thing that they're doing. I mean, other than the food truck's not there, but it's all the same thing, that's studying and just taking care of Solaire and Lyra. you know. She said that, like, she loves to shop, so they have to, like, they follow her around and carry all the bags and stuff of all the stuff that she buys. Like, they wait outside the store for her to come out, and then they carry whatever she bought, and then they go to the next one, and then, all this kinda thing. They take care of her and fetch her drinks and food and all this stuff while she's getting manicures and pedicures and whatever. And then, of course, the 2 of them stay in nicer accommodations than what the rest of the people stay in. So, that's pretty typical, we find, right? So, but yeah, she said that they're doing basically the same thing that they do at home, just in different locations. Some of them are beautiful, but they really don't get to, do any sightseeing other than, like, just what they happen to see, but they don't get to, have a lot of free time and go look around and all that kind of stuff. But people just continue to pay for these trips because she's got them convinced that they are doing some kind of big help for people. It's just bizarre. So, where does all the money go, right? Other than for these trips, I mean, it doesn't cost that much to put these people up in those kind of accommodations. It just doesn't. And so where does it go? That's the really murky part about this. No one seems to know, not even the ex-members. The food truck is, it's tied to these spiritual ventures, so that money goes somewhere. Uh, there's private businesses and nonprofits, and that's all tied to it, and they don't know where any of that goes. Uh, they they know that they work free and that they do it for several hours every day, and it's under the guise of spiritual service, but they don't know where anything goes. That the 2 of them keep it all sewn up. They are literally the only 2 that know anything. And really, they don't even know, like, if Lyra knows or if only Solaire knows. So, because, I mean, she's not gonna tell them. They're not gonna tell people, so they really just it is, like, bizarre. So, I mean, I'm assuming that they have to, um, make some kind of accounting for where the money goes as far as the nonprofit goes, but none of them seem to know. So, um, all the while this is going on, families are continually torn apart. There's daughters that haven't spoken to their mother in 15 years, like I was saying a while ago. Parents who've been ghosted, kids who've changed their names. Their parents, trust that they're gonna go here and do better and be better and all that, and instead they change their names and they absolutely disconnect from their parents because everything before was bad. And so, that's they give up their lives for this journey, and I really can't find anything that they get out of it. I really can't. So, why all this matters, what I think anyway, is I mean, I was laughing because a lot of people said, "Well, I just thought it was some strange Minnesota drama," and I was like, I was unaware that Minnesota had some weird drama. I think of that as Oklahoma has some weird drama, but I guess a lot of states have their little, things where we all think that we're the weird ones, right? But it is bigger than that, y'all. It's a reminder, if nothing else, that all cults don't look alike. That, some drive big red food trucks with a chicken painted on the side and yeah. So, but the scarcity of information, that's what bothers me the most because again, it just shows me that things are still going on, that it is still very dangerous for these people. It's still potentially growing. The one good thing about it is I'm hoping, and this sounds horrible, but maybe because it is so small and it is so limited to those 2, maybe I mean, God, they're gonna die off sometime, right? And maybe those people will break free once those 2 women are dead and gone. I mean, I'm not wishing that on them, but we all die, right? So, yeah, some drive big food trucks and sell chicken fingers. I mean, how bizarre, right? I mean, I know it just seems so weird to me. But if it weren't for the brave people like Gretchen, you know, which is Faye, and there's another one named Amby Yanes and one named Kelly Ab- Abadeli or something like that, and journalists and creators like Kelly who really are bringing this to everybody's attention. There's been a lot more news stations that have picked this up in the last 2, 3 years. And that's what it's gonna take. It's just gonna take more and more people being brave enough to at least bring it up and talk about it. But yeah, it's just so bizarre to think that their big thing is that they have a food truck. I mean, I don't know. So, yeah, there's like just not a lot of information. I mean, I've pretty much given you everything that I could find without actually talking to ex members, and I am currently attempting to do that. So we may have a follow up in the next little bit. I've not heard back, but I am attempting to get a hold of a couple that I have found information on. So yeah, Mayor, it does. It reminds me a lot of like Charles Manson, the setup of it and the control of it. Um, so we just have to remember, y'all, that not all cults look alike. Not all cults operate like Scientology or any other cults. There's cults that wear robes. There's cults that pass out Kool Aid, and there's cults that drive chicken trucks of all things. But I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of trauma there. I didn't really hear of any like physical or sexual abuse, which is interesting. And, yes, I have heard of the TikTok cult. That's on the list. It's coming up, I promise. Yes, and it was Flavor Aid. It actually wasn't Kool-Aid. It actually was Flavor Aid because it's less expensive and everything. So, anyway, I really do want y'all to go watch Kelly's video. It just because she's actually having, like, an interview with an actual member, and so she can kind of like, you can see honestly, you can see how fucked up she is, okay? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that this cult did that to her, okay? Um, her way of thinking about her past, her way of trying to come to grips with her future. Yes, Kelly Copter. And it is just absolutely amazing. The video is actually linked in the chat, and I will link that in the comments after as well. I want to thank Jan so much for bringing this and putting it on my radar. I You can rest assured it's gonna stay there now. I am not done looking into this. There's gonna be I'm gonna look into it some more, and like I said, we may have some follow-ups. If I can get a hold of even one of the ex-members to get an interview, I'm going to do that. I, um, I'm really trying, y'all. I'm really trying, but I didn't wanna put it off anymore. I wanted to at least come to you with this much of it. So, and if you're watching, y'all, and you're a part of this group or in any kind of a group that makes you feel small or controlled and makes you cut yourself off from your family or your friends or from everything but them. There is help out there, and I'm going to show some stuff in a minute, and I will also post that on my community page, so that we'll have those there if anybody needs those. There is help, there is hope. you know you're not alone, you're not stupid, you're not damaged, nothing. And even this poor Feyre, I know I said that, how fucked up that she is over it. I don't mean that she's damaged. I mean that it was a brain messed with her brain. And she's coming through it beautifully. And I believe that she's going to do wonderfully. But it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of just trust. She's gonna have to learn to trust people again because she's lost all trust, you know? So, anyway, I do wanna check on just a few, um, of my slides that I've got here. Not anything very long, so let's see here. This first one, this is an original post. This is one of the daughters of the 3 daughters who were looking for their mom, who they had actually heard potentially had died, okay? And they had tried to get a hold of Solaire, I can't even talk, and find out, did mom die, So, she says, "I've decided to finally put my thoughts out there on my mother and the cult that she is part of. For those of you who knew my mother, that woman is long gone. To anyone of my friends that supports or knows the popular food truck Bad Rooster truck, I think it is important to know that the Bad Rooster and its owner, Solaire, aka Lin Young, use the funds that they earn to support a cult. Lin goes by the name Solaire and has convinced a group of people that she channels the spirit of God. Her cult charges her followers lots of money to speak to God, and she has actively torn families apart. My mother is one of her devout followers and abandoned her children, grandchildren, brother, friends, and husband to follow Lynn. My mother also works for the Bad Rooster. Most recently, they posted something on their page saying that the Bad Rooster had an unexpected death in the quote unquote family. And when they say family, they mean other cult members. When I simply asked them to confirm it wasn't my mother who was deceased, they refused to answer me and sent a message asking me to cease and desist. Sorry. Yeah. So think twice before supporting the Bad Rooster. And then she's also posted this, and it says edited to add, I have found out that my mother is alive. Nonetheless, it does not change anything. This business supports a cult and they actively tear families apart. Update number 2. Our family has learned that my mother petitioned the court. She was granted a legal name change. Solaire's group is not only giving people new names, but from what I can tell, she is asking them to legally change their name to their God given name. For anyone who is wondering, is this actually a cult? Please tell me if that is normal behavior. Really? So, a major update, she says, the bad rooster truck is now attempting to intimidate, I'm sorry, anyone who shared this post by stating they have secured legal representation. See the attached picture. So she had a picture of it. Amazing that my personal account is having my family torn apart by the people who run this business is so threatening to them. Solaire has attempted to scrub her online presence of any mention of channeling spirits, but there is still proof out there, especially in old interviews for the Edge magazine. So, yeah, that's there too. Um, and then I also found this other one that this is a girl named her name is Gemma. That was the name that she was given by Solaire. Many of you may know me as Gemma, my given name by Solaire in her cult. I used to work unpaid for the Bad Rooster food truck to handle their bookings, their social media, and all that. Okay. In fact, I was the one who sent Kelly Abdelli the cease and desist Facebook message on behalf of Bad Rooster Food Truck in July of 2022. A year ago, I made a difficult decision to leave the group and the soulful journey ran by Solaire Alare. It wasn't easy, and at the time, I couldn't even identify that I was in a high control group or cult, but I did know that something wasn't right, and I needed to leave immediately. My journey to recovery has been challenging. For 10 years, I felt exhausted, demoralized, overworked, emotionally and verbally abused. I'm still recovering from this every day. Rebuilding my life and reconnecting with the world I left behind takes time. To those still inside or to those in similar situations, I know there is hope. Know there is hope, sorry. You are not alone. There are resources that can help, and so many friends and family members ready to receive you. Thank you to Kelly for bringing this to light, for my brother, and speaking publicly on or on Fox 9 about this, and to all the other survivors going forward and starting to share their stories. This is all my opinion. See, they have to be so careful what they say because Solaire is constantly like saying that she's going to sue people. She's always like filing little things, which sounds really familiar. So I also wanted to show, I've just got, I think, 4 more, and these I'm just gonna pop them up here, and then, we don't have to go all the way through them. This one basically is some, Minnesota-based support contacts that people can get. I put the ones for Minnesota specifically because it seems like that's where it is. Even if they live other places, they go to Minnesota. So, even if they move to Minnesota but don't live with her, they still move to Minnesota, and so, it seems like that was the logical place to start. Um, this one is some Minnesota-based resources. It's just places that they can look up and people that are there to help. So, I'm gonna put that in the community post as well. This one is, International Cultic Studies Association. It's counseling resources and things that they can read that would help. The one good thing about it is that they are not she has no control over their internet or their phone or what they see on TV, so that, we're hoping that if we can give them things that they can look up or call or whatever, that maybe they will. So, anyway, and then this is just a step-by-step escape and recovery plan, just things that you have to do. There's 7 steps: ensure immediate safety, seek a trauma-informed mental health support, begin poor or peer-supported healing, build understanding and recovery framework, create a personalized exit strategy. which is so crazy that there's really so much that they expect for you to do before you ever step out, unless you can just get the hell out of there and then start doing it, right? But you can also leverage legal and social services if needed and maintain community and long-term support. You've got to get long-term support. I really think that that's crazy important. So, anyway, I am gonna go now to the chat and look at the starred comments. Mischief has been very busy. Yeah, do any cults admit to being a cult? I not really. They might joke about it, right? Like some YouTube cults that we know of, that make jokes about it, but not so much. But I mean, the deal where I say, that they don't claim to be a cult, what they actually do is they very adamantly claim to not be a cult. So, and yet being very much culty. So, Jersey says there are some escapees out in the world. Yeah, they're just now starting to be courageous and speak up. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I can get in touch with some. I have found a couple of a little bit of contact information, and I'm working on it. It would be great to be able to talk to some, if nothing else, just show them support and show them that there's people out here that care, you know? I should say more courageous than they've been in the past. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. Mayor says, "Wow, they even want them to erase their past." Yeah, all of it. I mean, it's done in such a way as that why would you want to continue to be connected to your past because it was bad? That was when you were bad. And so when you're trying so hard to be this, spiritual body who's worthy of speaking, to quote unquote G, then yeah. Another thing before I go further actually is that I did notice that whenever I found it really interesting that because I go back and forth on some of these cults with the leaders between wondering, are these people not the people in the cult? I'm talking about the leaders, okay? Like, I'm always like, are they literally batshit crazy? Or, do they believe this? Are they just making it up? And I think some of them honestly believe their own hype. I think that LRH knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, he said, if you want to get rich, make, start a religion. I think that, I mean, I think he was kind of, obviously not right, but I mean, I still think that he knew what he was doing. I think that this Solaire knows exactly what she was doing, and I was telling Mischief that I felt like from the beginning, I thought, I think she knows exactly what she's doing. I don't think that she's, like, mentally ill, I think she's narcissistic as they come. But I don't think that she's, like, and I hate even saying mentally ill because there are so many mental illnesses that you're not, like, dangerous or criminal or but so whenever I'm saying, like, crazy, I'm talking about that kind of people that are, like, literally evil, and I don't think that she's that way. I think she's evil, but I think that she knows exactly what she's doing. But I wondered if I was qualified to make that kind of a statement, but whenever I was watching Kelly's interview with Faye, Faye said that for years she always thought that Solaire had multiple personalities because she would channel these adult men or she would channel these babies. And she said you never knew what you were going to get when you were talking to her, whether she was going to be an infant, or a toddler that you needed to like play with and, you know, take care of and coddle and feed and all this, or if it was going to be some, grown man and he was going to have all this, quote unquote wisdom or whatever to share. Like, so she always thought that she was like, that she had multiple personalities and and so she kind of felt stuck. I don't think she bought into the whole thing as much as she was kind of stuck. and so once she left the day before she turned 18. So as soon as she could get the hell out of there, she did, which says so much for her. But she says that now with a little space, a little time, a little age and counseling, that kind of thing on her, that she doesn't think that Solaire was crazy. She doesn't think that she had multiple personalities. She thinks that she knew and knows exactly what she's doing. And so that kinda made me feel like maybe I was kind of seeing it right, reading the Solaire right, and I don't know. I just, like I think that that makes me hate her that much more. Like, I think that if I thought that the leaders were just as damaged or just as confused or whatever as the people that they're victimizing, I think that I can absolutely hate what happens, but then maybe there's some little something in there that I can almost feel sorry for the leaders too on some level, but not when they know exactly what they're doing. And I think more times than not, they know what they're doing, but in this one, I think she truly does, and I don't think that she's mentally ill. I think that she's just a shitty person. That's what I think, and I don't have any level of forgiveness. She is too able to live in the world, and nobody thinks that she's crazy. Nobody thinks that she's this evil person or that there's anything wrong with what she's doing. They think, I mean, I don't know. I there's just she's too good at it to be that she's mentally ill. I think that she's evil. And, I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know what to even call that, but anyway. So, whoops. Indio says it's scary when you think about people being born in, and I hope they get the help that they need if the group gets shut down, especially young kids. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oops. I don't know what's oops. Yeah, to be fair, there's not much else to do in Minnetonka except for go eat at a food truck, I guess, right? Oh, man. Yeah, we've actually heard about Minnetonka a couple times because remember I said, "Who would name a town Minnetonka, Minnesota?" That's just like a huge mouthful to say. Man. Unfortunately, many of these groups use New Age spiritualism as a jumping off point and target struggling people. It's frustrating. It absolutely is because these people are searching for something, and she knows how to use it. I mean, she's good at it, and, to the point that she gets these vacations paid for, by all these people, and her shopping, and she lives, like, an exceptionally good life, and they live, day to day and have a lot of like, they don't have any money. They even if they have jobs and make money, they're giving almost everything they make to her and living, these sad lives. Those who are struggling with anything in their young lives have targets on their backs. Yeah, for narcissists, absolutely. Jan, you're absolutely right. Maybe she's got a checkered past like the guy you covered yesterday. Yeah, right? I wonder about that because she, they're really weird. It's really strange. Like, I could not find anywhere. I mean, I looked everywhere I could to even verify that that is her name or was her name. I mean, I looked up everything I could not find any history of her. Um, I even asked Chat GPT. I mean, I don't know how to find out if that's I mean, they're saying that it's her. So, yeah, that guy yesterday, ugh. Nana, too, good to see you, good seeing all of you, been a while, just going through some things, aw. Take care of you, okay? Really, and come back when you can, but, take care of you first. Maybe she left her family to start a cult and her ex-husband and kids don't want anything to do with it. Very possibly. Very possibly. And especially with the whole, giving up everything from before, your past is evil and bad and, so that's kind of what I think, but I hope that's the case and that they aren't involved in it at all. Me too. The husband and the 6 sons, me too. I don't think they are. I kept wondering at first if maybe he was the co-owner in this food truck or something. I cannot find out who that is. It doesn't say on any of the stuff. It just says that it's like a entity. I don't know, maybe G. Maybe G, right? Yeah, spirituality means that she doesn't pay those who work on it. Absolutely. I agree, Nana, of 2. It's crazy and it needs to be shut down. And it needs to be shut down now while it's small, because everything can grow. Yeah. I often wonder if these people believe their own BS. I don't know. I think some of them do, and I think some of them know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, that is a lot of money. $9,000 a day? I was just like, "Holy cow, I am in the wrong business. I need a chicken truck in Minnetonka, Minnesota, apparently." Mm, yeah. Jan says that I think she knows exactly what she's doing. I do too. I really do. It's weird. Yeah. Oh, there's a parallel dimension, of course. Absolutely. Isn't there always? Yeah. Right? Eat more pizza. Talk about born again. You are literally like, I mean, at least when you're like a quote unquote born again Christian, you're still the person that you were. You just give up, the bad, right? You give up the sin or you try to, right? And you it's kind of one of those like you know better, you do better, but this one no. No, like you're literally you give up everything. That mm-mm. Yeah, is it me or are the names kind of loony? They're all kind of strange. They're all very new agey, like can you hear my dog snore? That's the bulldog. She's been glued to me. I mean, she's like a Velcro dog the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, and she's fine. She's healthy. She's absolutely fine. But I say that, and then she is old, so, if she passes, it's because she's old. But, like, she's getting up there in age. Now, bulldogs, they don't usually live even 10 years, and we've had her that long, longer than that. And so, anyway, she got on our bed for the first time last night. And so, yeah, I'll have to post a picture of that because I was just like, "Oh my god." But she climbed these stairs that we got for Mags, and so the fact that she went on the bed and off the bed was kind of exciting. She was so happy, but then I had to, like, go I had already, like, done my cleanse my face and my moisturizer and all that for the night, and I had to rewash my face because she literally gave me a bath with her tongue. It was disgusting. So, I don't mind, like, little kisses, but it was a little much. So, Eat More Pizza now says to name change means dealing with the DMV and SSA. Screw that. Too much work. Absolutely. Yeah. But I guess if they don't make any money, they probably are not really I don't even know if they have driver's license anymore or if they, would get any kind of social security. Surely she would want them to get some kind of social security because that would just be more money that she could have. Well, I mean, I guess the ones that don't live there with her. Yeah. See, I'm thinking cult in a commune and I need to remember, yeah, I don't think that there's ever give and take with cults. Not a lot. No, not a lot. But this just seemed like that it was really not, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather die than stay, but I'll lose everything if I leave. Yeah. Mhm. Who does that sound like? I remember there are 2 sisters who lost their mother to this cult. The woman tried to sue the cult leader, but lost the suit. I think this is the same group. I think there's actually 3 sisters. One was not as into it as the other 2, but yeah, it is sad, Jersey. It is sad. I saw that, gosh, it's been, yeah, probably 3 or 4 years ago that I saw that on TV, and then I really just kind of didn't think a lot about it until you brought it back up, so I'll be thinking about it now. Yeah. Indigo says, "Yes, I am a weirdo, and I have so many cult facts in my head." Me too. I I'm serious. I am constantly, like, somebody'll say something, or like my daughter was talking yesterday when we were at the doctor. We're in the waiting room and it's kind of quiet in there, and she's like, "There's this guy, and I don't even know what brought it up because we were not talking about the channel. We were not talking about anything." She said, "He's like disabled, and like he had polio as a kid, and he wrote a book." And I'm like, "Oh my God, was he in an iron lung and blah blah blah?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so it was a guy that we had covered on some of the deals that John and I have been covering. And so it was just so bizarre that she and I both, ran across this person. It was kind of cool though. It says Ben Baconbit says, while people will all make us feel tired from time to time, if you feel tired most times that you deal with them, it's a warning sign. Absolutely. Absolutely, Ben. And good to see you too. Yeah, I've been kind of quiet lately. So Indigo says it takes 15 years of focused deprogramming therapy, talk therapy to rewire her thoughts and patterns. Yeah, it's going to take a while. And she's not been out long. Jersey says and friends who've surrounded her and helped her acclimate to the real world. I know. I was so proud for her. Like, she is making great strides, and it is amazing because they had really worked her, emotionally and mentally over. She was so strong to never completely conform to it. So Ben says, "Oh, gee, isn't it surprising how so many cults feature a leader that claims to get special revelations from God?" Yeah, or be God, right? That's what I was telling Mischief. I said, "Oh, another cult that they think that they either talk to God or they are God." I'm like, "How many gods?" Because, they it's just crazy. It's I don't know. Absolutely. The minute somebody tells me to leave my friends and family, gonna peace out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ben says cults are a lot like dealing with narcissists, which is why Rick Ross deprogramming works on both cults and narcissists. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ben says, yes, Steve Hassan is good too. I almost had Rick on my show, but he wasn't comfortable with my connection to the lifeboat at the time. Really? Cool. I need to try to get him. I don't know if I could or not, but I could try. I always just assume I can't. And so I make myself not even try. But, like, I've really not had anybody flat out turn me down, except for if anybody has Jenna's email address. I am desperately searching for Jenna's email address. So, I just wanna email her and talk to her and beg. Indigo says, "I mean, I do believe in my higher self and that I have a witch name that's different than my legal name. But I would never expect anyone else to change theirs. That's very personal." I get it. Absolutely. I get it. That's not a big deal. I can kind of see, we have we all have nicknames, but to go to the point that you go by this name and that you give up everything in the past, like, my nickname with my family is Sooty because my great-grandmother's name was Mary Sooty. She was, Native American, and my mom literally almost called me Sooty, and so in my family, they'll call me Sooty or they'll call me Sooty K because my name is Susie K, so, I mean, it's just kind of normal. I answer to Sooty as readily as I do Susie, so, anyway, it's just my name, but I don't have to give up everything, you know, for it. So, anyway, okay, Indigo says, "You know what I'd do with $9,000 a day? I would freaking live, bro." I can't imagine $9,000 a day. I'm just, ah, that's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Name changes require legal stuff like birth certificate issues in your new name, for instance. Yeah, that is so strange. Also, I'm gonna just say hi to Stacia in case she's still here there for a little while she's on a little break. Good to see you. Talking about name changes. The thing is so strange. Um, you know, Veta, she has a brother and a sister that my daughter had in her previous marriage. And she also has a brother and a sister in her dad's previous marriage. So there's 5 of them altogether. But anyway, um, Veta's brother and sister's legal, birth dad gave up his rights to them. And so their dad, their, stepdad, legally, well, not anymore legally, but technically they're in the beginning anyway. Um, he adopted them and they got issued new birth certificates. And on their birth certificate, it literally says that their dad is him. Their birth dad is completely wiped from the system. So I wonder, like, if they legally change their names, do they get new birth certificates? Who would it say their parents are or anything? I'm gonna look into that some more because, even as I was covering this, I have a whole list of questions over here that I still don't know the answers to. So we're probably going to look into it some more, and especially if I can get a hold of somebody to come on. I just need to get to where I'm not so scared to ask people because, I mean, what can they do? Say no? Well, if I don't ask, it's like they already said no, right? So, anyway, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it, but ooh, I'm nervous about asking people, but I'm trying. Stacia says her sinuses are at war with me again between the smoke and all the weeds. Yeah, 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 I get it. Mine is too, and I finally Mischief told me about an allergy medicine that doesn't put me to sleep, and so I need to take it more often because I just sit here with tissue every show because my nose just either itches or I'm afraid it's gonna drip, so I don't wanna be drippy on live. So, but anyway, guys, I am gonna go. I will be back tomorrow. John will be with me. We have our last installment because, I had to cancel, so we're running a week behind in our how we celebrate things for months. And in July was Disability Pride Month. So people that were doing just outstanding things that have disabilities. And so tomorrow we're going to cover people in the cyber world and like YouTube creators. And I'm really excited about it. I There's actually several that I watch on a regular basis. And so I was just like, oh wow, I get to cover these people a little bit. So anyway, you know, we're gonna do that tomorrow. And anyway, so we're in August now, and every month has a whole list of different things that they celebrate. But I just kind of made an executive decision today while I was looking the list over a little late. I know I'm a little late to 5 days into August. I'm just now deciding what we're gonna like celebrate this month. but I couldn't not do this one, right? And it is honestly that we celebrate things that bring you joy. So I want you all to be thinking about things or people or places or whatever that bring you joy. And let's talk about them. Get with me. And, if you want to come on and talk about places that give you joy, that bring you joy, or people or whatever, then we'll talk about them. And if you just want to tell me and I'll, look into them or whatever. But I want you to look into it yourself and find things that bring you joy. And we're going to celebrate that for the rest of this month. And also, y'all, if you've seen the little clicker thing that's going across the bottom, there is a reminder. Send in your photos for the new intro. The music's going to be the same, but the video part will be different. And that was actually Mischief that put a bunch of slackers on there. But I totally agree with her. I back her 100%. So send me in pictures. I don't care if you send me 10 pictures. If there's not room, I'll decide what goes where, or we'll make more than one. Ben says when someone seems defensive, stubborn, or cold, you're not seeing a character flaw, you're seeing their protective architecture. Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to remember that. So y'all send me in those pictures. Let me know what brings you joy. I really want to dedicate this month to joy, to absolute joy. And of course, we're going to have to talk about some not so joyful things, but we're going to really lean towards joy. We're going to really lean into it as much as we can. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Aw, thanks, Mischief. You bring me joy too. You really do. So I love you guys. I truly do. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all.